Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad.
Why, hello everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Animat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. And oh boy, what a week it has been in terms of news, and even what a week it has been for me, especially, considering that on Monday, I actually finally received my vaccine. I know that a lot of you have gotten it much earlier, but things are pretty complicated here in Canada, and luckily though, last weekend they did open it up to people that are my age group, so I was able to go and make a reservation for my appointment, and I finally got my vaccine. So this is my first dose, but the only catch is that I won't be getting my second until much later, like in September around. So I am hoping that things might change so I can get it earlier. But this is all just to go and quickly say that if you guys have not received your vaccine, or if you have yet to make your appointment, please do so immediately, because that way it requires everyone's effort, including yours, in order to get us out of this pandemic, and that we can finally get back to the mythical normal, or at least the most normal that we possibly can. So I'm very proud that I finally got my first dose of it. I didn't really suffer any much of the side effects or anything like that, but other than that, I am all good. And also, one quick little change that I would like to mention that you're probably hearing right now is that I have finally managed to do something I wanted to do in a long time, and that is boost up the audio on my microphone so that you guys can hear me much louder, much clearer. I know that it's always been a little bit of an issue, a minor issue, but still a bit of an issue where my audio is a little bit quiet compared to when I would show like a trailer or whenever I would have a guest on. But finally I got that sorted out so you can hear my beautiful voice loud and clear for 2 hours every week. So with that said and done, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, are you all prepared for today's episode of Animat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me hear it, folks. Are you ready? Let's see now. Are we all set? Yeah? Yes, yeah. Okay, there we go. Now people are starting. That's beautiful. That's great. And with all that said and done, I believe now it is time that we shall go and get things started. And with our first story, what we are about to get into is some business. We will be entering upon the world of industries and big heads, because with the first story that I have here, it could debatably be one of, if not the biggest news story of the week. Two conglomerates combined together in order to form one mega corporation in order to go and combat the other mega corporations such as Disney and Netflix and stuff like that. And so why not we go ahead and actually start this episode off by looking into the Warner Media and Discovery merger. Yes, it has officially been revealed by AT&T that their media division, Warner Media, shall be merging with Discovery. Now, keep in mind, this is not an acquisition. It's actually taking two different companies and you combine them in order to form one massive corporation. And in this case here, from this merger, both sides are actually going to go and get something big out of it. On AT&T's side, their big reward is that they will be receiving $43 billion from this entire deal. In fact, to read you a little bit in terms of their rewards, coming from my source here in the Los Angeles Times, it states here, at launch, AT&T shareholders would own 71% and Discovery shareholders 29%. So basically meaning that AT&T now owns 71% of the entirety of Discovery. AT&T would receive $43 billion in cash, debt securities, and other considerations so that it could pay down debt. And one thing to mention about AT&T is that they're not necessarily well known as a company that could actually turn a profit very well. Often they would end up doing business practices that would really screw them over. Case in point, look at their deal that they had with DirecTV, where they ended up selling away that company for a quarter of what they have purchased. In fact, right now, because of this deal, the fact that they have received $43 billion in cash and debt securities, right now, they are only, there's one little section they did mention it. Yes. So it states here that the combination could lead to $3 billion a year in cost savings. And right now, the company will have about $55 billion in debt. So even with this deal, they are still $55 billion in the hole. And considering if things do go well with this merger and they do have $3 billion a year in savings, it's going to still take them quite a long time in order to truly get their money back. Like I would say, according to my calculations, this is approximately more than 18 years? Yeah, more than 18 years that it would get them out of their debt if things do go well with their business and with the merger itself. But what about Discovery side? What are they getting out of this deal, and what advantages would they have? Well, it's not necessarily the company itself, but rather the CEO of Discovery, or the chief executive officer, David Zaslav, in which he's actually going to be in charge of this new merged company. That he's going to be in charge of the merger to make sure everything is settled, and then right afterwards, he's going to be the big head honcho of everything. That he'll be in charge of the combined assets of Warner Media and of Discovery. Now, I know that technically there is already a big head of Warner Media right now, which is Jason Kilar, but rumors have stated that apparently this could be the last days of Jason Kilar as the chief executive of Warner Media, and that sometime soon he could be stepping down. So, and one more thing I almost forgot to mention is that apparently for David Zaslav, he is actually going to be getting a big reward as well, where he will be getting, from what I've heard, is $190 million in stock options. So at least he will also be getting something along with this big responsibility of merging the two companies and being in charge of the combined companies. And apparently this deal has been going on for quite a while. It was ever since, apparently they even said here, the deal came together in the last 3 months after Discovery chief executive David Zaslav sent a February 13 email message to AT&T chief John Stankey, grousing about lockdown restrictions that caused him to miss the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro AM golf tournament. The two men began talking about the future of media and eventually started meeting secretly at Zaslav's Greenwich Village brownstone to hammer out the deal terms. The boards of AT&T and Discovery approved the deal this weekend. So they have been, the two heads have been in talks for quite a while about this, but it wasn't until this weekend until they made things official and they agreed in order to do the big merger. Now, by this point, some people might be asking, and you might be asking while you're watching this, what about you, though? What about you as a consumer? What are you going to get out of this? Are things going to change the way that you would consume Warner Brothers products or Discovery products? And especially with your streaming services, are things going to change with HBO Max or with Discovery Plus? Well, one way to answer that is if you would go into this article right over here, which is what does the Warner Media and Discovery deal mean for you? This is an IGN article written by Julia Alexander, and it actually goes through everything about the possibilities and what this means directly to the consumer. It's a very well written article, and I highly recommend you go and check this one out if you are highly interested in this big merger. And basically, the long story short of what they're trying to say is that, unfortunately, there's nothing immediate that's going to happen in terms of this merger. We're not going to see any, big changes that are going to be happening. We're not going to see, a massive combination of something like HBO Max and Discovery Plus to make one giant streaming service. Or we're not going to see any, cross-contaminations where you see Warner Brothers stuff happening on Discovery or any Discovery stuff happening at Warner Media. For now, both entities are going to remain separate in the eyes of the consumer. And if there are going to be any significant changes, then maybe down the line in the next 3 years or something like that, that could be the time when maybe we'll see some changes possibly occur. And even going down, they actually go and describe it very well and very much straightforward and easy to understand so that anyone could read it and they'll be like, oh, I get it. In fact, here, one good example to go and read for you here is going to be the question of, is anything going to be happening right away? Where they stated, for us, general consumers who spend $15 a month on HBO Max and $7 a month on Discovery Plus, nope. You're not going to open those streaming apps tomorrow and everything will look different. HBO Max is still going to launch its cheaper ad-supported version on the streaming service this year, which is said to go for $10 a month. Warner Brothers movies are still going to hit theaters and HBO Max at the same time throughout 2021. DC's universe is still all go ahead. And the most that they are saying in terms of what could change in the future, right now it's all just speculations from here on out. They are saying that there is a possibility that maybe more DC movies might actually happen, considering that David Zaslav did express some interest regarding the DC property and maybe doing more with it. And they did mention as well that there might be a bit of downside as well. You might have heard about what is happening right now with Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment, which is Warner Media's gaming division, and they are stating that there is a chance that they could sell away part of their gaming division, thus kind of dismantling it, and we are starting to see the Warners start to separate themselves from the gaming industry. So there is that possibility that it could happen. But once again, the long story short is that for now, we're not going to see any major changes that could be happening. For now, they're just speculations about what's going to be happening with their games, with the DC properties, and maybe we could see at the most, if there are going to be mergers even in the first place, there are going to be some that are going to be minor. They're not going to be related to their big IPs. And it's mostly going to be stuff maybe you would see a little bit of mix between Discovery and CNN and stuff like that. So that's pretty much the big answer to all of this. This is what's currently going on with the big Warner Media and Discovery mergers. And to be very honest, from my perspective, I feel like the more that I think about this kind of merger, at first, it would seem a little bit unusual. It seems kind of strange at first, especially when you have these two completely separate companies that do not make the same kind of content at all. On one hand, you have Warner Media, which is a massive corporation. Not only do they have their own massive list of different channels such as TBS, TNT, CNN, and all that kind of stuff, but they would also have Warner Brothers Pictures, which is their big movie studio company, as well as owning many major IPs such as the DC superheroes, Harry Potter, the Looney Tunes, and many, many more. And then you would have Discovery, which they specialize on making channels, in which they are the people that would have a whole bunch of like little different channels that are not necessarily based on like popular TV shows or anything like that, but they would mainly just focus on like lifestyle reality show channels. Like, you got the more science-based one with the Discovery Channel, then you would also have HGTV, then you would have Animal Planet, you got Food Network, and all that kind of stuff. So you can see how these two are very much vastly different from one another. And yet, even though they are complete opposites, this really is a case where opposites very much attract. The thing is that this merger feels like it is a very smart move because one can offer something that the other could not. And by combining them together, they are able to go and deliver so many different content to a massive wide variety of audiences, where now Warner Brothers and Warner Media can enter into a market that they've never dived into before by going into these lifestyle and science-based channels. And Discovery also, they can now have access to many of Warner Brothers' big IPs, to many of their big shows, and they can have access to that area as well, as like on top of some of the other programs and other cable networks that they could dive into as well, such as like a comedy-oriented channel like TBS, or go into a little bit more of sports with TNT, or even dive into mainstream news with CNN. They got these things that both of them don't have, but combined together, they can turn into a massive corporation. And of course, you can probably imagine, because of this pandemic, it really damaged everyone. Like, it didn't just damage small businesses, but also the massive corporations. Like, every single one of them have reportedly lost billions of dollars. And I don't mean like in total, but I mean like regularly losing billions of dollars almost on a monthly basis even. And it was especially damaging for companies such as AT&T, and even for Discovery as well, because it's not just regarding the pandemic, but it's also the tough transition to enter into the streaming age in order to put their content onto streaming services and promote that to audiences in order for them to consume their streaming service so that they could go and present their content to everyone. And that is honestly something that both AT&T with HBO Max and with Discovery Plus, that they're kind of like lacking a little bit. Yeah, I know some people could say that HBO Max is one of the more prominent streaming services, but the numbers that they're making, they're even, like, as of right now, they're not even able to get half of what Disney Plus or what Netflix has right now, or even compared to some of the others like Amazon Prime as well. So yeah, like, some people could say that in terms of what they could offer, they're doing extremely well. But on the business side of things, they are extremely lacking. Not to mention with Discovery Plus, considering that their bread and butter is all based on cable, it's all based on what you could find on television, they also have an extremely rough time trying to transition onto streaming as well. I believe the numbers in terms of Discovery Plus, they only have 15 million subscribers as I am recording this. And the kind of content that they do offer, I mean, I'm not saying that they're not interesting. I mean, let's be honest. Many of us enjoy watching from time to time those channels, such as like what they would offer on Discovery or on the Food Network and stuff like that. But they're not necessarily the kind that you would actually really go out and actually get a full-on streaming service for. It's not like you're gonna go and try to make difficult decisions where you gotta keep is like, should I keep my Disney Plus subscription, or should I move it aside and go for the Discovery Plus subscription? Not many people are gonna legitimately go and do that. However, right now, because of all this, because of adapting to streaming and because of the pandemic, right now, both these companies, like with Warner Media and with Discovery Plus, they kind of feel like a fraction of what they used to be. Because of this massive and very difficult transition, they're only just part of, like, you could say they're only half of what they used to be as a major corporation. So by combining the two, it actually makes sense. They actually do feel whole again, and they do feel like a major corporation now that they are big enough to go and be considered a legitimate threat against Netflix and Disney, that they could be a serious competitor now that they are capable of attracting a wide variety of audiences. And that's going to be the big strategy. It's not necessarily gathering as many people as possible to watch like a few specific content. It's to go and to tap into as many different markets as possible and collect all those audiences there in order to go and gather a massive audience as a whole. That for now seems like the major strategy of what could be with Warner Media and Discovery. And even though right now there is no confirmation of what they want to do with this merger, there is no say onto what's going to mean in the future and stuff like that, or if we are going to see some major changes in the first place. For me, if there is one thing that I would love to see actually happen, and even though they say there's no plans for it, I would actually love to see the combination of HBO Max and Discovery Plus as well. Like I said before, Discovery is able to offer stuff that HBO Max and Warner Brothers has yet to have. They have they have stuff that you can't actually find on HBO Max. They have like several different markets that has yet to be tapped into in terms of HBO Max. So by combining those two together, like they would be able to go and attract much more of a wide audience and give more of a reason for people to go and actually have a subscription to HBO Max. Not to mention that it is a bit of an additional help in order to open up a cheaper alternative with a more ad-dependent streaming version of HBO Max. But still, at least, like, by combining the two, that's when they could feel like a legitimate competitor against someone like Disney, because from there, they can have their own kind of content in the similar way that Disney Plus has those National Geographic documentaries. Like, you probably know that when Disney has purchased Fox, one of the assets that they've also purchased was National Geographic, and from there, Disney was able to go and actually have some of those they would have some of those Discovery-like documentaries and Discovery-like shows onto their program so that they could also tap into that market as well. At least the more science and natural-based markets for anyone who is more interested in that kind of element, in that kind of asset. So combining the two together, I think it would be a great idea. And not only that, but I personally feel like combining those two would make it more legitimate for the price. Because one of the biggest things that's often criticized about HBO Max is regarding the pricing at $15 a month, and that's for the regular version. Like, even the I believe even the ad version of HBO Max that is coming soon, like, even though it's going to be cheaper, it's still going to be $10 a month, and it will still be slightly more expensive than something like Disney Plus that can offer exactly the amount of content that HBO Max already has, and then some. So by combining two different streaming services into one, it will definitely feel like you're getting more bang for your buck. At least it will feel like you're saying, okay, so by combining those two, it will be like having two different streaming services in one, thus kind of justifying that $15 a month. I don't know, like, I know they said that they aren't doing it, but I feel like it would be a really smart idea if they could also combine those two together so that the people can actually feel like they are getting more bang for their buck. So, but ultimately, though, it is very fascinating to see this merger happen, and it really shows the kind of consequence that we are seeing in terms of the pandemic. How it can also hit these multi-billion-dollar corporations and what they have to do in order to adapt into these ever-changing times. And I don't necessarily just mean in terms of how the media is changing over the years, but also how our culture is changing over the years, and how disasters like the pandemic can really go affect our lives, and it can go and affect the economy as well. So it's a very fascinating step to see how how something like a global pandemic can affect us and affect our culture and affect businesses in a major way such as this. All right, so with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, how do you feel about the Warner Media and Discovery merger? Are you guys a little bit concerned? Do you have any other questions that you would like to know about what's going on with this? Are you guys more satisfied with it? Let me know what you all think. Okay. Let's see what we have here. Okay, maybe I'm overthinking this, but if Discovery, which owns Discovery Family, will be merged with Warner Media, would this be a bit complicated for Hasbro since they own 40% of Discovery Family? Would this cause Hasbro to lose the ownership of Discovery Family? Then again, I remember several Transformers related stuff being aired on Cartoon Network, even Transformers Animated, which was made in Cartoon Network Studios. I mean, I don't think so. I mean, like, in terms of the aspect with Hasbro, like, they're mainly doing their own thing. And even at that, like, you got to remember, like, even back when, you remember the My Little Pony movie that was released back in, like, what was it, 2017 or 2018 or something like that? You guys remember that My Little Pony movie? Technically, that was actually released by Paramount. And we know there is already that big collaboration with Paramount and Hasbro, especially with the Transformers movies. But still, technically, in regards with that, you considering that they have more of an association with Paramount, you'd think that technically that would mean the Nickelodeon shows would be more, or not the Nickelodeon shows, but with the Hasbro shows such as Transformers or My Little Pony, they would be more featured into something like, they would be more prominent in something like Nickelodeon, since that is owned by Paramount and is an affiliation of Viacom CBS. Oh, excuse me. But no, that the thing is with Hasbro is that they are more independent, and they are more open with working with several other major corporations in order to make their business. So I don't think it's going to be that much of a trouble for Hasbro to adapt, even for something like this. Let's see. Warner Brothers Games and DC Comics will be broken up as owner AT&T unloads its media business in a sale merger with Discovery. What do you think about that? Yeah, like as I said before, there are going to be some things that will be a little bit complicated. I've already talked about how how Warner Brothers game division is going to be a little bit more different, and it will be splitting up and sold off to other people, as well as several other aspects. And there are rumors that maybe there will be a few more layoffs that are going to be happening because of this merger, but it is going to be a pretty complicated scenario. But I feel like it could be a bit of a bittersweet kind of situation, because on one hand, yeah, it does suck that Warner Brothers Games they won't have the DC properties in order to make more games such as Injustice or Batman Arkham Asylum. Like, there have been in recent years, there have been some really good games based on DC properties, but then again, it does open up for DC to go towards other different studios in order for them to actually make some DC games. So, it's a give or take situation, but I feel like that, I'm sure the gaming side is a bit more complicated, and that is going to be the closest that we can get in terms of the consequences of this merger that's going to be happening soon. So that's more of a wait and see kind of situation. Let's see. What else do we have here? This is actually interesting. I still have the HBO Max app, but I have yet to make my subscription and account for it because I want to wait until I have seen some of the Warner Brothers movies in theaters And then on physical copies, before I make that account and subscription, I am mostly looking forward to the In the Heights movie, and I pre-ordered a physical copy of Godzilla vs. Kong because they both seem to have become popular in their own right, and in more ways than one. And on top of that, I think the reviews of In the Heights just came out, and so far things seem to be pretty promising and might be worth the hype, actually. So there is that, which will be coming soon. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Let's see now. I want to let's see what we have here. I could see both sides being affected as well. WB now owns more reality shows, and Discovery now has access to the Warner Brothers library. Plus, I could see them both helping each other out for the streaming wars. Now, let's wait and see if HBO Max and Discovery Plus becomes one, and if Warner Media is going to be the next big company to buy out everything. Guy Fieri is Gandalf. We'll see. I don't think so, though. The one thing I could say right now is that I don't think Warner Media is going to go and, go on a massive shopping spree in the levels of Disney. Because, again, you got to keep in mind about their parent company, AT&T. And even with this merger going on, they are still in $55 billion in debt. So that's going to be something that will give us some time. And I don't think they're going to be interested in making more acquisitions anytime soon, considering that the more things they'll buy, the more debt that they shall be. So they want to try to go and take care of that $55 billion before anything else. Let's see, what else do we have here? I think it's best for AT&T to sell off Warner Media and go back to being a phone business company. They never should have bought this and DirecTV since it made AT&T broke, so it's for the best for them to sell off in order to allow Warner Media and Discovery to merge. Also, I noticed that Discovery owns 3% of Lionsgate, so when the merger does happen, will Lionsgate films and shows be on HBO Max, and Warner Media will possibly co-own them 3% in the future? I'm going to be covering this more in the next story, but, that is an interesting aspect. And it is true that technically, I think there's one of the articles that did actually talk about the fact that technically Discovery does own a few other percentages on other companies such as Lionsgate, as you have mentioned. Maybe it's in the I think it's in the Los Angeles Times article that they did mention it. But that I will say that does sound pretty familiar. In fact, I know a faster way of doing it. Okay, no, they didn't mention it. I probably heard that from somewhere. But yes, considering that they do own a bit of a percentage, I'll go more into that later. It is interesting. We'll see. Again, it is something that we will have to wait and see with what will happen. I'm gonna go and read one more comment before we jump into the next story. I feel that the AT&T and Discovery would turn out very well. I would be open to see nature documentaries on HBO Max, since finding some nature documentaries on streaming services would be extremely hard for me. Well, then again, the most that I could say, if there is one streaming service that would have nature documentaries, immediately popping out of my head, I would say Disney Plus. Disney Plus would be the easiest to go and find, considering that Disney has their own nature documentaries with Disney Nature. And again, they got National Geographic, and they got a whole bunch of those nature documentaries that you could go and look out for. But again, even though the changes won't be immediate in our eyes, it will be interesting to see the future of what Warner Media and Discovery will have in store. Okay, so the next story that we have here. Now, one thing I am going to say right now is that this is a rumor. There is no confirmation that this story is actually true or that this is legitimately happening. So I want you to all to keep that in mind and take a bit of this information with a grain of salt. But still, though, I do believe that it is still worth talking about, considering that This did happen, I believe, on the same day as the announcement of the Warner Media and Discovery merger. And while this one here isn't necessarily a merger per se, it is still a major acquisition that could happen. And what I am talking about is going to be the potential buyout from Amazon and MGM. Yes, rumors have started to circulate that Amazon could possibly be in a position where they could fully buy out the studio Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. And the cost apparently is said to be somewhere under $10 billion. So definitely a lot cheaper than the deal with Warner Media and Discovery, but still, just under $10 billion is still a stupid amount of money. The reason why that we even have this information in the first place, this actually just came out from the information where they're saying that it's been weeks now since MGM and Amazon are in talks for this kind of acquisition. However, because of the big announcement of the other merger, right now talks seem to be a little bit in a standstill. It is in a bit of a halt, and they don't want to go and jump to conclusions immediately after that major power move from another major corporation. So there is a chance that maybe they will be on hold on this deal, or that it might not even happen in the first place. But what we are aware right now is that maybe this whole deal could go on. And one thing that I can say right now is that this rumor does have some credibility, considering that it has been a long time since it has been rumored that MGM has been on sale for quite a while. And going to read from my source here on Deadline, it actually states, rumors have been afloat for years that the 007 studio has been up for sale. Days before Christmas last year, a Wall Street Journal report surfaced that MGM has tapped Morgan Stanley and LionTree to explore a sale. At the time, rumors were swirling that another tech giant, Apple, was interested in acquiring the studio. MGM had been seeking $10 billion plus, a price tag considered too high by a number of potential suitors who have been going off a $6 billion valuation for the company. So basically, according to rumors, MGM has been on sale for a while, and they had been considering it for years. It's just recently right now, especially because of the pandemic, they became a little bit more serious when it comes to selling itself away to another major corporation. But the only problem is, the reason why it hasn't happened anytime sooner is because they put their own price a little too high. Over $10 billion is way too much for many others, and the potential suitors feel like about half of that, saying $6 billion, would be a bit more accurate with how things are currently going right now with MGM. But the question still remains. Let's say we are in a scenario that these rumors could actually be true, that Amazon would end up buying MGM. What would they end up getting? Well, it is stated here that apparently, if they do buy out MGM, then they would end up owning one of the deepest film libraries, which boasts over 5,200 titles, 17,000 hours of TV, 177 Oscar wins, 12 Best Picture winners, the James Bond franchise that has grossed over $7 billion in its global box office lifetime, and the Rocky and Creed movies, which have together earned more than $1 billion. There's also the Epix Pay TV network, of which MGM took full ownership in 2017, buying out the stakes of Paramount and Lionsgate. There is also Emmy-winning series such as The Handmaid's Tale, Fargo, Survivor, among its biggest TV assets. The rights to the James Bond franchise are owned by EON Productions. So yeah, when you would go and buy out something like MGM, it's going to be a major deal. Like, yeah, you would gain so much for something that corporates would see as something that would be considered a relatively low price. And one thing that I will say is that even though this may seem like a little bit of a rumor for now, even though there is no confirmations, for me, I feel like these are honestly very credible rumors, actually. I would actually believe that a corporation like Amazon would want to actually go and buy out MGM. Because like I stated before, MGM had been on sale for years, or at least rumored to have been on sale for years. And if you do know the recent history of MGM, they have not been doing well. Even if they do own one of the biggest movie franchises of all time with James Bond, that still doesn't mean that the company has been suffering over the years and that things have really not been going well. And as you can probably imagine with this pandemic, it only damaged them even further. It only just made things even worse for MGM, especially when it's regarding the fact of James Bond with 007. You probably know that one of the most anticipated movies in recent years is the 25th James Bond film, No Time to Die, especially with the fact that it is like a major number of James Bond films that it has reached, number 25. That would be a massive and big deal. Not to mention that it is rumored to possibly be the last Daniel Craig movie to star as James Bond. So, of course, this is massively hyped up. However, the original release date for it was supposed to be Easter of last year. And yet right now, it's only set up to have an October release date. So there is no confirmation regarding how things are currently going with MGM. But still, you could probably imagine that with their biggest and most anticipated movie that they have so far, delaying that for around a year and a half, that is very much damaging to MGM, and you can imagine how they have suffered throughout this pandemic to the point that they kind of need to be bought out in order to survive. That if they want the MGM brand to still be thriving, they got to be under the ownership of another major corporation. And considering that we are at the point that many of these major conglomerates like Netflix or Amazon or Apple, that they are in a major position that they would need to grow in terms of their entertainment productions in order to really thrive their streaming services, whether it be Apple TV Plus or Amazon Prime Video or even Netflix itself, then yeah, it is highly possible, and it's easy to imagine how these corporations would want to go and buy out MGM, especially as this article stated here, that they do have a massive library that they could really take advantage of, and numerous upon numerous of major legendary feature films, history-making movies even, that they could have in their collection and reintroduce them to modern audiences. So yeah, it would be a massive win to anyone who would go and buy MGM. And I feel like with Amazon, that definitely does make sense for them as a potential buyer, almost as much as Apple wanting to buy them, because again, it would really help thrive their streaming service and actually make them look like a legitimate competitor compared to either Disney or compared to Netflix, now that they do have like a massive collection. Like, imagine this. Like, really think about this. Imagine being the company that would own MGM. Like, you can imagine how amazing it would be that they would be the company to say, come and watch our streaming service because we have the entire James Bond collection. Like, you remember how it was such a massive deal that Disney promoted The Simpsons being the exclusive streaming home, Disney Plus being the exclusive streaming home of Disney Plus? Imagine being the company earning that title of being the exclusive streaming home to James Bond, not to mention other franchises that MGM has at their disposal, including imagine being the exclusive streaming home of the Rocky movies. Now that is another major deal that they could go and take advantage of. So yeah, there is something here that they could definitely get their bang for their buck, rather it be for $6 billion or for $10 billion. And especially for these major corporations, yeah, they could definitely take advantage of it. It would be a bit of a big responsibility, but I can imagine this being a big deal. And honestly, I feel like, I don't know if there is a confirmation that it could happen. I could easily imagine as well that there might be some kind of fallout that it won't happen, that Amazon would end up buying MGM. But I could definitely see, I could definitely see, like, sooner or later that MGM will end up being bought out, and that there will be a corporation that will take advantage of the factor that they own MGM, that they are the proud owners of the James Bond movies and the Rocky movies and stuff like that, and that they would be more than happy to prominently display it onto their streaming services. So, like, if not Amazon, if not Apple, then I could probably imagine maybe Paramount could actually go and buy it. Well, Viacom CBS, I mean, that they could actually go and purchase that for Paramount Plus to make that an even bigger deal. Like, imagine Paramount Plus, the home of the James Bond, the streaming home of the James Bond movies. That would be something that would get a lot of people's attention. And other than that, though, it's interesting to see that now we are at the point where we are seeing these mergers and these acquisitions happen, or at least rumored to happen, all around the same time. And it does make me wonder who would be next. And by bringing up Lionsgate, I feel like if there is any other major studio out there that would be next in line to have like a full-on acquisition, I kind of feel like Lionsgate would be the next one, considering that they are technically the smallest among the major studios that are out there. It wouldn't be hard to imagine that there might be one major studio one day that would decide to go and fully buy out Lionsgate. Like, maybe we'll see a major power move like what Disney did, where Disney completely bought out Fox. Maybe we'll see the same thing, like Universal with Comcast. They'll end up buying Lionsgate, and they'll make the Lionsgate films be a part of Universal, so that those franchises like Step It Up and the Saw movies and the Hunger Games especially can all be a part of the Universal canon. So that would probably be a major deal. But again, that's all just rumors and speculations, and I know there are other companies as well that have been long rumored, like almost as much as MGM. Even Sony Pictures has been rumored for a very long time to be considered for sale. Nowadays, it is kind of a bit of a mystery, especially how Sony nowadays can be very unpredictable with many of their business practices, especially with what they've pulled off recently with their streaming deals. Like, their movies are going to start off by being on Netflix, and then suddenly they'll be on Disney Plus. It's kind of a weird thing that's currently going on, but yeah, you never know what the future holds, and especially you never know how Sony's future is going to be, considering that their business practices is kind of a true mystery. But overall, though, going back to Amazon and MGM, yes, I do personally believe that it is actually credible to imagine that Amazon would end up buying out MGM. And if that doesn't happen, then I can imagine in the near future, we could see a potential buyout for MGM, especially nowadays. They seem, well, at least according to rumors, they seem more prepared to actually be bought off, to go and find a proper suitor. And maybe we will see in the future, maybe someone will prominently go and advertise that they have the rights to the James Bond films. But only time will tell on what will happen with that kind of deal. All right, so with that said, now I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, what do you all think about the rumors of Amazon potentially buying MGM? Do you believe these rumors are true? Do you think that this could actually happen? Or do you think it's nothing more but a rumor and nothing will come out of it? Let me know what you all think. Okay, so let's see what we have here. Why are so many companies buying out other companies? Disney bought out 20th Century Fox, Sony bought out Crunchyroll, Warner Brothers are buying out Discovery, and now Amazon is buying out MGM. What's next? Illumination going to buy out Video Branquito? Wait, I forgot. Video Branquito is dead. No, I mean, come on. Like, regardless of how you feel about Illumination, they got way higher standards than freaking Video Branquito, man. Seriously, dude. That is never gonna happen. And I mean, nowadays, I guess it would be two reasons why we are seeing these major things happen. Number one, of course, is because of the pandemic, and these corporations have to find ways in order to adapt to the current times and to make sure that they want to keep themselves afloat, considering that they have lost billions of dollars just throughout 2020 alone. And number two, well, it would honestly be because of the new standards they have to face now with Disney buying out 20th Century Fox. Now the standards of how the competition is going to be in the entertainment industry has raised significantly higher after that full-on buyout. So that's why we do see all these companies merging together, or these companies buying out one after another. Like kind of like the battle of like like germs, like fighting each other out for like who would be the biggest and stuff like that. It really has grown to become the survival of the fittest, because now the standards of what would be considered the fittest has raised significantly high. And because of the pandemic, they kind of have no choice but to combine together. All right, what else would we have here? I won't lie, I'm a little fatigued with these studio buyouts. I get it, the pandemic cost these companies some major bucks, but these buyouts keep getting tiring. But either way, should this buyout happen, I hope the two do well with their potential merger. If anything, I hope that Amazon at least changes the name of the new Bond movie, seeing as the delay gets more and more gets the movie too much to die. Yeah, that is definitely true. That's kind of the true irony of the 25th James Bond film. It's like, yeah, for a movie that's called No Time to Die, you certainly take your sweet ass time. Just keep delaying until that moment that you have no time to die. It's more like plenty of time to die right there. Clever for pointing that out, actually. Gotta give you points on that. Let's see now. It would not surprise me if Amazon would buy MGM. Considering how MGM has struggled because of the pandemic, and how they have kept on delaying their films over and over again. Also, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't MGM made a deal with Paramount Plus to have MGM films be featured on there, including No Time to Die, once it's finished in theaters? Oh, that is actually true, honestly. I completely forgot about that. I don't know if they have done so, but maybe. I'm trying to check in the article on Deadline, and there is technically no confirmation of that. They didn't say it here, but that is true, honestly. I mean, who knows? Like, if this deal actually does happen anyways, I'm sure there would be some changes that would legitimately occur with that deal, because whoever owns MGM, yeah, they also want to have their movies be prominently featured on their streaming services. That's why I did open up to the idea of Viacom CBS also be a potential buyer as well, because yeah, they would definitely need that boost in order to have Paramount Plus be a lot more prominent. Let's see now. What else do we have? This may be an overreaction, but Lord help us if the rumors even came true. Last time a sales company was involved in a big buyout, it ended up a disaster and was slowly closing down. Except in my country in 2018, bringing up the whole Toys R Us scenario. But then again, knowing that Amazon is a huge company, I'm sure they can survive on this. I can imagine Amazon Prime having its own brand new Pink Panther cartoon series. That could be a possibility, but yeah, again, that does seem a bit of an over-exaggeration. It is true that not all buyouts do work out well, but then again, there are those that that they are capable of managing it very well. A good example of that is the Disney-Fox merger. Say what you will about that controversial acquisition, but at least Disney is taking advantage of what they have with the Fox properties. Let's see, what else do we have here? Yeah, oh, there we go. Oh, no, never. No, I already read you. Sorry. Here you go. I'll go with you. Amazon and MGM. I happen to have a Prime account, Prime being part of Amazon, and I saw that the TV series for both DiC, which owns Heathcliff, Inspector Gadget, and the first English dub of Sailor Moon, and MGM have a Hello Kitty TV series called Fairy Tale Theaters on that app. The only catch, you have to purchase a film to purchase it first to watch it. Anywho, I have a hunch on how this buyout might turn out, but I don't want to make any assumptions. All right. Let's see what else we have here. Personally, I think Amazon buying MGM is not a bad idea. Think about it. They could heavily promote streaming services with The Wizard of Oz, Rocky, The Terminator, The Hobbit, Agent Cody Banks, and so much more. Oh yeah, because that would be the major selling point of getting MGM. It was like, hey, do you want to buy us? I don't know. We got Agent Cody Banks. I am freaking sold, man. We need to prominently display that. The exclusive streaming home of Agent Cody Banks. Buy it now. Give us your money. Do it for Cody Banks. Oh my God. Okay, let's see. I think I'll read one more before we jump into the next story. I think there is definitely a possibility that this could actually happen since we are currently living in a pandemic. My only question, though, what is going to happen with No Time to Die? Other than that, though, I do think this is definitely a possibility. Also, I would say the next buyout could be Sony buying out Netflix or vice versa. Okay, I'm just going to say right now that I cannot imagine Sony buying out Netflix because, as I've stated before in previous episodes, Sony right now, they are a bit in a massive financial trouble. They are in massive financial troubles right now. That's why they have accepted those deals with Netflix and Disney Plus at the same time in order to have their movies be prominently displayed in their streaming services. I'm not saying that it's impossible for Sony to end up buying out the entirety of Netflix, but for me personally, in my opinion, I feel like if something like that would happen, I feel like it's way more likely for Netflix to fully buy out Sony in Sony's current state that they are in right now. Okay, so the next story that we have here, it's enough talking about all these major corporations. It is now time that we will go into a smooth transition into the business of animation. And what I have in store right over here are announcements regarding two animated series that are going to be coming soon. One is a little bit more of an indie project, and the other is from a major corporation like Fox. However, it's not necessarily the series themselves that are actually interesting, but rather it's more the business aspect of it, how they are going to be financed, and the way that they are going to do so will be through non-fungible tokens. Yes, the first one that I'm going to be talking about shall be related, first of all, to the Toonbox upcoming animated series. Hold on a sec. Yes, the next Toonbox animated series, Take My Muffin. And for those of you who don't know, the story of Take My Muffin, it states here what it's about. It says, reading from my source here on Animation Magazine, Take My Muffin tells the tale of Corny, a unicorn who wakes up after a car crash with total memory loss. Not only that, but some really, really bad guys are trying to kill him. But hang on, there's some good news too. Corny has the super ability to spontaneously produce genius startup ideas. And an eccentric, sleazy entrepreneur named Rock has the medicine Corny needs to get his memory back. if Corny will work on Rock's team, that is. Who could say no to that? So basically, this is a psychedelic adult animated series that they will go into the realm of the weird and the strange in the similar style of like Adventure Time or The Amazing World of Gumball, but they are going to do so in a more adult-oriented style series. But on top of that, though, what really makes this one more interesting is not necessarily the series itself, but it's rather how they are going to be financed, in which they are going to be entering more into the realm of cryptocurrencies with non-fungible tokens. To read more into my source, it states here, after 3 years of development, Toonbox decided to finance the series with cryptocurrency because it seemed like the only proper way to make a show that revolves around crypto, ICO, neural networks, startups, drones, mobile apps, and so much other stuff that fills today's world. Yeah, I might disagree on that, but I'll get more onto that later. Investors can participate at a variety of levels. Small investing by acquiring NFT tokens minted as Rarible, and general investing by acquiring TMM tokens with Ethereum cryptocurrency. And even this article even provided the website to Take My Muffin, to which they did describe a little bit more about how things work out if you want to go and invest on the show through cryptocurrency. And there's this, like on the website itself, there's even a whole page that actually does describe it. So it says here, reading from the website of Take My Muffin, it says, the process of financing and working on the project is broken down into several simple steps. The first step for an investor is to buy one of the project's NFT tokens, after which, 1, all the details of work on the project becomes available to the buyer, and 2, for each NFT token purchase, the investor has the right to claim 1,000 sub-governmental tokens that can be used as votes for making administrative decisions as well as decisions about distribution of profits. In total, 250 non-fungible tokens are worth 10 ETH each will be issued. The proceeds for this initial will cover the production of 3 seasons of the series, which is 30 episodes of 22 minutes each. So basically, they're pretty much using the whole cryptocurrency and NFT style business as a way to go and fund the whole show. But like I said before, Take My Muffin is not the only one that is doing this as well, because a more prolific studio and a more prolific company is going to do the same thing with Dan Harmon's upcoming series. Now, you guys probably know about how Dan Harmon, the co-creator of Rick and Morty, actually has a brand new show coming up that is going to be from Fox, which is apparently this adult animated series set in Greek mythology, which for now is going to be called Crapopolis. In fact, my other source on The Hollywood Reporter actually has a little bit of a description of the show where it says that it is centered on a flawed family of humans, gods, and monsters that tries to run one of the world's first cities without killing each other. But the big thing that Fox wants to do with this series in particular is that they want to finance this using cryptocurrency and going into the NFT market. In fact, they actually opened up a brand new NFT company in which they call it Blockchain Creative Labs. And we even got a quote here coming from Fox Entertainment CEO Charlie Collier, in which he described the process by saying, "Not to go too far into it today, but as an advertiser-focused, artist-first, and animation-obsessed company, Fox is going to take advertisers into the world of blockchain-powered tokens, including NFTs. And Dan's series, currently entitled Crapopolis, will be the first ever curated entirely on the blockchain. And just as we're doing this for our own animation, we will also help your brands connect directly with fans and enthusiasts through NFTs. With and for you, Fox will help art meet brands, meet technology. And they even described a little bit, or did they describe it? But basically, oh no, actually, what they did describe is what NFTs are. They did state about what are NFTs in case you might not know what they are. So I'll go and read that little part so that you can be in the loop about what's going on. But it states here, an NFT or non-fungible token is like a digital trading card. It's an asset that represents art, music, videos, and other real-world items. They are typically bought and sold using cryptocurrency and are part of Ethereum blockchain. Ethereum is a popular form of crypto with a market size second only to Bitcoin. Each NFT is considered one of a kind, even though it can be copied. One example that they brought up is the Disaster Girl meme, which has been reproduced countless of times online, but the woman who appeared in the photo recently auctioned off an NFT of her meme for $500,000. The appeal for collectors is the owner holds what might be considered a definitive digital official version of an item that can perhaps increase in value. So basically, long story short, an NFT is a digital real estate that you can get a piece of art, or in this case, like you could probably have like a piece of concept art digitally of Crapocalypse, and maybe over time it could fluctuate in terms of value. That if the show becomes as big as Rick and Morty, then the value of your NFT artwork will significantly increase. Or if the show becomes absolute crap, then it could just go into a downfall, and it might only be worth like a fraction of a cent, for example. But that seems to be the big thing right now, is that we got two animated shows that are going to be completely financed over NFTs and cryptocurrency. Now, one thing I would like to state right now is that before all this, I honestly had no idea what NFTs are. And the more that I keep hearing about it, the more that I want to go and distance myself from it. That it just sounds like something that feels like it's nothing but trouble, and it feels like something that it's kind of like getting into the stock market, except it's a lot more troublesome. Like if you want to invest into Bitcoins, then that's a way that you can simultaneously feel like a millionaire and flat out broke all in one day. So I feel like honestly that kind of cryptocurrency market is just way too much trouble than it's worth. Like I've just started to get into the stock market and start investing into some start making little investments here and there, but that's pretty much it. Like I don't think I'm ready to go into the cryptocurrency market and stuff like that. It wasn't until for this podcast in particular that I decided, okay, if I want to talk about these stories, then I want to get a little bit more of a knowledge of what these NFTs are and like what's the big hype about it. And yeah, essentially that's all it is. It's real estate. It's basically a digital version of like buying a house or buying an art piece where over the time they could be more valuable than when you bought it, or it could be less valuable than when you would buy it. But still, it's a massive risk. In a way, it's a serious gamble. It's basically just another version of like going to the casino. That's the big thing with these cryptocurrencies. The risks are so significantly high that they might as well be considered gambling. But there is also the controversial aspect when it comes to NFTs that is really looked down upon and has become increasingly controversial, and that is actually regarding the fact that there is a lot of art theft when it comes to NFTs. That apparently more and more, because of the whole NFT trend, the art theft is considered to be more and more of a very common problem. And sometimes the thieves could actually get away with hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. And one prominent example that I could actually think of that did happen recently is with the Academy Awards. Apparently, with the when you would get that gift bag that every nominee would get, one of the things that is included in there is actually an NFT token of a golden busted head of Chadwick Boseman, and it was highly detailed. And apparently, there are allegations that that golden bust of Chadwick Boseman was apparently stolen by an artist who did it around the time Chadwick Boseman passed away. But then when it was discovered that Anthony Hopkins won the Oscar for Best Actor instead of Chadwick Boseman, then they had to immediately bail out on that NFT. The value just went significantly down. It was worthless, and they just had to get rid of that NFT in the gift bags. It really was that bad. And the only person who managed to make a profit was the person who turned that golden bust into an NFT, reportedly made like somewhere around six figures from there. So when I heard that apparently now animation is getting into that market where we got stuff like Take My Muffin and even Crapocalypse going into the NFT market and reading about the strategies that they are kind of doing, I'm sorry, this might seem like a bit of an extreme allegation, but this all feels like a massive scam for me. Like, this just feels like it's something that is no different than what you would find in something like Kickstarter or even in Patreon, where you're basically asking other people to go and invest onto these shows in particular for them to go and air wherever, whether it be online or maybe on a streaming service or even on television, and that you would own like a piece of the show in the way. You know, you would own like this little piece of the show, and that you can have a little bit of power, like a little bit of a voice of how to move forward in terms of the business aspect, like financing and distribution and stuff like that, all while getting these little rewards like little art pieces here and there, like little behind the scenes tidbits and all that kind of stuff. You know, you would get like these little non-fungible tokens where maybe in the future they might fluctuate in value. And the part of it where it does feel like a scam, again, is the factor that these NFTs are a major risk. Like, let's say, for example, if you go into, like, if you decide to go and invest onto Take My Muffin and you want to buy 10 NFTs of Take My Muffin, and the value of these tokens, maybe they could turn out good, but also maybe not at the same time. You never know when the show is going to be released. What you paid for that NFT, maybe it will increase in price where the show becomes like like it will become really popular, and the NFT you have would be like 10 times the worth right now. Or Take My Muffin will be released. It's absolute garbage. And your NFT, what you invested in, is worthless. You can't really return it because now you'll end up like getting just 3 cents of it. Or you would get like zero point 0.3 cents for it instead of like investing 25 instead of getting back that $25 investment that you do have. It's too much of a risk to really get into, and it really does feel like something that just feels essentially like gambling. Like, I'm not against TV shows that want to go into like Kickstarter campaigns, or they're asking I'm not against crowdfunding, of course. Like, if you would need money in order to invest into a project or like a major a passion project that you want to make, that's all fine. That's perfectly okay. I understand it. Sometimes you would need help of fans and audiences in order to get more money. But using cryptocurrencies, using non-fungible tokens, like, honestly, there's a part of that where it really does feel like a scam, because like, the thing is that when you would invest in something, you're not really going to get much back in return, because what you're getting in return overall is a risk. And that's the biggest problem. And also, the stupidest thing about all this, what is possibly more upsetting, is not necessarily the factor. It's like, okay, maybe I could give Take My Muffin a pass because it is more independently funded by a studio called Toon Boom Studios. Like, okay, that's fine. But what the fridge is Fox doing getting into this realm? Why does Fox need to find investors in order to fund this series? Like, I mean, it's Fox that we are talking about. It's the godforsaken channel that would air The Simpsons, Family Guy, and Bob's Burgers. Like, we're talking about the company that is an affiliation of the frickin' Walt Disney Company. You guys obviously have the money. Why are you going to go into the realm of like NFT investment and stuff like that? Why are you asking others for your money? Like, you obviously have the money to make some kind of Greek mythology series. You fund it yourselves. Why do you need help of, like, investors and stuff like that? Yes, I understand looking for advertisers and stuff like that, but do you really want non-fungible tokens to actually be a reward? Especially when this week I have heard that cryptocurrencies are taking a massive plummet. Again, the whole market of cryptocurrencies is almost gambling in a way. Like, you're pretty much going into this, like, stock market that feels more like an intense roller coaster. Like, why would you even want to do this? It's ridiculous, especially when Fox would want to do it. Not to mention that it is from a series from a guy like Dan Harmon, whom I'm sure the dude himself actually has the money to go and actually fund for a major project like Crapopolis. I'm sure like he has a good amount of that Rick and Morty money that he could use in order to fund some, like not all, but some episodes and some major aspects of Crapopolis. I don't see why you would need like this whole blockchain thing in order to explore like how else do you want to go and finance it. Because right now NFTs are nothing but this wild crazy trend that a lot of people are pretty much predicting that will not have a happy ending. So honestly, overall, from what I see here, this just feels like bullcrap. I feel like, honestly, this is going to be something that will bite them in the ass. And I mean, like, yeah, even if in the future, like, NFTs can still be strong and can still be good, there is still that significant backlash against the concept of NFTs and how it really encourages art theft, that there's going to be a lot of people out there that wouldn't even want to bother go and invest and actually take the risk to actually go and spend their money on NFTs that maybe in the future won't be worth all that much. Like, for example, like if I told you that I would, if I would go and sell you like this, I don't know, a cookie. I don't know why I pick a cookie, but like, let's say I give you a cookie. Yeah, you would want, like you would take that cookie, you're perfectly fine. But if I told you that there is a risk in the future that if you go and eat that cookie, you would get a serious stomach virus to the point that you would have to go to the hospital. Or there is also a chance that you could eat the cookie and whatever disease or whatever sickness that you may have, it's immediately cured. So you can go with one or the other. But are you going to take the chance to eat that cookie? Of course not. Because you don't want to take the risk to actually go and be even more sick and go to the hospital. Like, why would, would you really want to go and risk yourself to go into that, would you really want to go and actually take that massive risk for a chance that maybe things will get better in the future if you go and eat that cookie? It's the exact same thing with the NFTs. Like, overall for me, like, my biggest question of all this is, like, whatever happened to just money? Whatever happened to just giving people money to go and invest and make a show, and then as a return, they go and make money? Remember remember the simpler times of investment? Remember when money is just money? Remember when things are not as complicated with Bitcoins and Ethereum and Dogecoins and all that kind of crap? I miss those days. I miss those days when money was simple. I think that's honestly my biggest thing on all this. I don't know. Like, I know this is a bit of a complicated subject to go and discuss about, but there's just something about this that I can't help but feel like it makes no sense why they're even doing it. And it just spells out, like, it feels too suspicious and it feels way too much of a scam. I know it's not Toonbox or Fox's intentions to go and make a scam, but the fact that they're really gambling with people's money in order to create this kind of show, like, I feel like for for the consumer, they got the shorter end on the stick, even if there is that chance that what they've invested could turn out to be way better and way bigger, and they could sell it off for much more than what they have invested in the first place. Okay, so with that said and done, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, what do you all think about the idea of Crapocalypse and Take My Money, to which those shows are going to be funded by cryptocurrency and by NFTs? Is this something that you guys would want to go and invest? And if you have a little bit more of a knowledge on NFTs and cryptocurrencies, I would love to know your opinion on this. So let me know what you think. Okay, let's see what we got here. There we go. I'm expecting this to be a disaster. NFTs just feel like absolute trouble and could just completely backfire. Seriously, this just seems like another Legends of Oz scandal or another Bitch Stinkman Oaxis scam. I was like, what the hell is a Bitch Stinkman? And then suddenly I was like, oh, I didn't know that's the new name for Butch. Okay, oh, that's funny. And could just end up blowing in their face. Yes, that is true. And the thing is, like, and imagine this. Like, I understand that when it comes to stocks and when it comes to that kind of Wall Street-like market, like, things go up and things go down. But the problem is, when things go massively down, it's going to be really hard for things to go up as well. Like, imagine, like, even when you are working on a series like Take My Muffin or Crapocalypse, why do I keep saying that? Crapocalypse. Crapopolis. It's not as easy to say as it sounds. But anyways, with those two shows, when things go very much down, like, how are they going to be able to pick things up? Like, yeah, there'll be moments in the production like, oh, hey, look, the stock market is going great. Now we'll be able to go and include some things like CGI onto the animation and Disney-like quality animation. And then suddenly when things go massively down, like, how are they able to go and pick things up? It's like, well, we can either delay it or we could continue the animation and make it look like, we can just use the Hanna-Barbera tactics and make very limited animation. There are those ideas. Like, seriously, that's my big question. When things are down, how are they going to go up? Let's see now. Animated shows being funded by NFTs. For Take My Muffin, I can understand why Toonbox would do this. But for Crapopolis, all I have to say is why. Fox is a major TV network owned by Disney, and the creator is one of the biggest names on television. They have the money to fund the series. Why do they need money for NFTs? Then again, regardless of how big your company is, you could be a massive corporation or you could be a small business. If there are options that could go and save money, they'll all take it. And especially for something like this, if that's something where they could spend less money and the finances can come from other people, then they'll be more than happy to go and take it. Let's see now. And then, I kid you not, Rick turns himself into a pyramid scheme. He's called NFT Rick. Funniest shit I've ever seen. Oh, that is funny, man. But for real though, this idea is absolutely horrible. I think it's safe to assume that NFTs cause more harm than good, especially after that Chadwick Boseman fiasco. I'll definitely be avoiding these shows like the plague. I'd make a witty remark to cap this off, but I blew all my punches with the opening. Yeah, I know. It's that opening is just way too good right there, dude. Let's see. Then again, Matt, the reigns of Wall Street and Company and Wall Street & Co. is on their twilight. There will come a time when we won't need those big enterprises in our daily lives. That is a possibility. That is true. Let's see now. For animation, yes, this is a huge gamble for this show. My mom keeps investing in cryptocurrency for a month now, and we'd vary with successes except for now. Luckily, we weren't addicted to it because I was very little involved with it. Also, what the hell, Fox? Yeah, exactly. It's something like, I can understand if you want to try it out a little bit to see how things could go in terms of cryptocurrency, but at the end of the day, it's just way too dangerous. It's not really worth your money. Like, if you want to go into stocks, that's perfectly fine, but if you're going to go and invest into cryptocurrencies, yeah, don't expect to have a happy ending on that. Or when you won't have a happy ending, yeah, expect to fall and fall hard. Let's see what we have here. I'm honestly with you on that, Animat. I remember my expanded art form class where we've linked to an article about NFTs. Honestly, the video talked about how people can become millionaires or even or earn thousands. I actually brought up the idea of how NFTs can be abused to my classmates in our chat on class. It felt like too easy money and how easy art theft or half-ass artists could make money. My classmates compared NFTs to a stock market or real estate, which is app and could crash. Yeah, exactly. That that is often the biggest problem with NFTs. It's that it is digital real estate. But the thing with digital real estate, when going digital and when going online, it's too easy to make it so problematic and just make things crash down. Like, seriously, it's better to go with the real thing than not. Your money is better off into buying houses, like real life houses, than actual cryptocurrency, because that way you know that, like, it's a much safer bet that if you buy those houses, then at least their prices won't like jack up or jack down immediately. At least like it will just be like a gradual incline or a gradual decline that you can notice and have enough time to actually go and take action. Let's see. I'll read one more comment before we jump into the next story here. Let's see. Oh, what else do we have? The show is honestly going to be a massive gamble, considering I have no idea what the fridge NFTs are, and I feel like it's going to end up like the Legends of Oz movie, where the Carroll brothers used to use the investors' money to build up a franchise. But when the movie bombed during 2014, no franchise came from the distributors. Clarius Entertainment ever since doesn't have much to say here, other than to quote Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik, "Confidence, a fool's substitute for intelligence." Yeah, exactly. It's just all this feels so much like some kind of scam. It's kind of like a legal scam in a way, because like, yeah, that's not like, I'm giving the benefit of the doubt for Fox and for Toonbox that it's not their intentions in order to go and make some kind of scam and run away with people's money and stuff like that. But the gamble is just way too high on this. There's just way too high of a risk, and you never know if things can actually end up becoming extremely well, or if things don't go well, then really you pretty much can go and say goodbye to your money. Or like things can be absolutely even worse than just losing money. Okay, so for our next story, what we have here is going to be about SpongeBob SquarePants. And as we all know, entering into the 2020 decade, the whole SpongeBob's franchise started to go and immediately explode, because now Fox really wants to expand on making a whole bunch of spin-offs. They don't just want to stay with the main SpongeBob series and that's it. Like, yes, they have grown to have, like, a few other things as well. Like, there was a 4D ride, there are several movies, there was a Broadway show, and all that kind of stuff. But they also want to go and really expand upon the world of SpongeBob SquarePants through TV shows as well. Nowadays, we do have the first SpongeBob spin-off series, which is Camp Coral, that is available right now on Paramount Plus. And coming soon, there is going to be the Patrick Star Show that will be happening, as well that rumors say that there is also going to be a Squidward musical series that will be coming on Netflix. I don't know if that's still happening, but apparently that was a thing at one point. But as Patrick and potentially Squidward are having their TV shows, there's one other character that is going a little bit, did I say Fox made SpongeBob? I'm sorry, I meant Nickelodeon, but anyways, going back to what I was talking about, the thing with SpongeBob is that there is one character in particular that decided to go into a different direction. Instead of having a show, she wants to have her own movie. And who I'm talking about is related to Sandy Cheeks. Yes, Collider has officially reported that apparently there is going to be a Sandy Cheeks spin-off movie that will be in the works. Now, for now, considering that it has not been officially announced by Nickelodeon, there is no official word or a lot of details about what this show, what this movie is going to be about. We don't have any plot or anything like that. All we know is that it is going to be a movie starring Sandy Cheeks. And of course, as tradition to the SpongeBob movies, it is actually going to be a live-action animation hybrid, to which Sandy, of course, is going to be animated, and of course, will be voiced by Caroline. Is it Caroline or Caroline? Caroline is going to be voiced by Caroline Lawrence, but Sandy will be in a live-action environment, so that's where we got the hybrid aspect. But on top of that, we also got a crew listed here. We know who is going to be working on this project. We do have a director, which is going to be Liza Johnson, who is said to be the director of many other movies and even TV shows, where Johnson directed movies such as the 2011 Return, Hate Ship, Love Ship, and the last movie Liza directed, which is Elvis and Nixon, an independent comedy back in 2016. As well, on top of that, Liza Johnson even directed several episodes for some popular TV shows such as Dead to Me, What We Do in the Shadows, Silicon Valley, as well as Barry. On top of that, we even have some writers that are also attached to the project, which includes the SpongeBob veteran Kaz, as well as Tom J. Stern, who was recently in charge of working on the live-action special SpongeBob Appreciation Day. And that's so far the most that we do know about this Sandy Cheeks movie. Now, I remember way back when they did all these announcements about these different SpongeBob spin-offs and stuff like that, I remember I mentioned that out of all the characters, I feel like Sandy has the most potential to actually have her own spin-off. That I feel like if you want to have a lot of materials to make something that would be completely different to SpongeBob, but still stay true to the tone of SpongeBob, then honestly, you gotta go with a Sandy Cheeks movie. Because the thing with Sandy is that not only is she technically the smartest person in Bikini Bottom, or the smartest animal in a way, where she is also part inventor and also part scientist, where she's actually down there in order to do some aquatic research. But on top of that, there's also that action-oriented element where we could see Sandy do a lot of like great adventures and provide a lot of awesome action scenes with her karate moves that she would know. And we've already had several examples throughout the SpongeBob series. Like there was at one point, I remember they did a Bruce Lee parody where Sandy has to go and rescue SpongeBob by entering into this tower where there were several layers that Sandy has to fight like different villains. And then there is also one example where Sandy would fight off like big monsters, like she would wrangle the giant Alaskan bullworm. And there are plenty of other examples that I could think of, and also not to mention how she would also play with SpongeBob, doing some, practicing their karate moves, and we could see all the different ways how Sandy has that kind of potential to be the most action-oriented in terms of what she can provide on her own if she would ever get her own brand, her own spin-off series, or in this case, a spin-off movie. And I feel like, honestly, this is actually a very interesting move that Nickelodeon is doing. And honestly, for me, I feel like this is actually a better alternative if they really want to go and try to make these spin-off stuff inspired by the SpongeBob characters. I feel like going with another series, it would just be way too much, because at that point you're risking making a SpongeBob clone that ultimately, like, you want to make another SpongeBob series, but ultimately that's exactly what you're doing. You're just recreating SpongeBob, but you're repackaging it in something else. And that's one of the biggest, one of the biggest problems that people have with Camp Coral is that it's too much like SpongeBob. Like, a lot of people are pretty much asking, why am I watching this when I can go and watch SpongeBob SquarePants that is also on at the same time? I understand that it is common practice that some companies would go and do that, but usually when those things happen, it would be because the main franchise was finished, that, they finished off the main franchise and they want to have a spin-off to continue that success. But in this case here, while they're continuing Camp Coral, they're still also continuing SpongeBob. So there's kind of less of a purpose for that, because it's not really a substitute for SpongeBob. It's just another SpongeBob series, and I feel like that could be another thing that they could do again when the Patrick Star show comes out, like, I think in the summer. But if you are going to do a movie, at least that way you are doing something different. At least you know that you would be capable to go and raise the stakes instead of just recreating what you have previously done before on a regular basis. And again, going back into Sandy, I feel like, yeah, this would definitely be a really awesome idea where you can actually make something... you can actually make something that would be a lot more action-oriented. You can actually make something to which Sandy could go and, like, fight crime, or, like, she can kick butt and, like, fight against, like, so many different villains that could be in Sandy's way. There's a lot of great potential that you can do with Sandy, especially if you're doing it in movie form and taking it to the next level, where you can have some, like, really crazy ideas, or even, like, have live action moments where maybe Sandy could actually fight off against like a live action villain. So honestly, for me, I feel like out of all the spin-offs that have been announced from SpongeBob, this is the one where I feel like I'm mostly on board. Again, I feel like Sandy has the greatest potential to have a spin-off. I feel like Sandy is the strongest character in the SpongeBob crew that could stand well on her own, to have her own kind of show where it could be a little bit like SpongeBob, but it could also be vastly different than what you would find in SpongeBob SquarePants. And making it as a movie, yeah, that's definitely a unique way, to make this one stand out. To make it a little bit more different than just making more and more spin-offs. So overall, yeah, honestly, the more I think about it, the more I am on board with this spin-off movie, and I am curious to see what else could possibly happen in the future with this Sandy Cheeks movie, if it actually does come into full fruition. Oh, and there is one more thing I almost forgot to mention, and that is actually regarding where it would actually be released. And that's also another really interesting thing, mainly because of the fact that apparently reports have stated that it is going to be in an undisclosed streaming service, where, yeah, at first you may think that this could be something that, like, if they're not going to release it in theaters, then of course they would go and release it on Paramount Plus. But they didn't necessarily say that it would be for Paramount Plus. So there is a chance that maybe they'll end up selling it off to the highest bidder, and maybe Netflix could be a more viable option, considering that Nickelodeon and Netflix have often collaborated before, and they are still collaborating today. And there is also the element of like, maybe it could be Apple TV Plus, or maybe there's Amazon Prime. There is a wide variety of options, but who knows? We'll wait and see in the future of where the Sandy movie will ultimately go, and let's just see what happens. All right, so with that said, I'd like to go into the chat wall, and I want to ask you all, how do you feel about a Sandy Cheeks spin-off movie? Are you guys on board with it? Do you guys have your serious doubts? Let me know what you all think on this one. Let's see now. As a huge SpongeBob SquarePants fan, I am pretty mixed on this. Like, here's the thing. Is it necessary? It might have a 20% chance of good potential, but there is another chance that it would be another mediocre CGI hybrid movie cartoon like the 2011 Smurfs. Well, first of all, I will disagree with you on that. I would not call I would not call the 2011 Smurfs mediocre. I would call that hot garbage. Anyways, I do not know if I'm going to see this, but we all need to wait and see when the film gets released. Okay, that is fair enough. And I mean, to answer your question, no, it is not necessary at all. In fact, let me ask you, what SpongeBob thing that isn't the main show is necessary? I think that's the real big question. I would even argue that even the movies are not that necessary. But if they are going to go and make these kinds of spin-offs, if they're going to make like movies and Broadway shows and spin-off series and stuff like that, they better go and make the most out of it. If they do, as long as they do provide a solid idea of what they can do, then maybe it will have the potential. So maybe it's just me and I'm keeping myself optimistic on this, but yeah, I don't think the answer is, I don't think the question is regarding, is this necessary? Because I think everyone knows that, no, absolutely not. No one needs a Sandy Cheeks spin-off movie. But if there is, then hopefully it could be enjoyable at the very least. Let's see now. I'm a little conflicted on this one. I know for a fact this may not be as good as the Paddington movies, or, well, the other SpongeBob movies, but Sandy does hold a lot of spin-off potential that could still boost it above other live-action animation hybrid movies based on cartoon characters like Alvin and the Chipmunks or the Barney Stinson Show, also featuring Smurfs. So this will definitely be an interesting watch, but one question remains. Will these SpongeBob spin-offs just take place in different areas? Oh, okay, where is the location? And I mean, that's a very good question. And again, this is why I'm kind of happy that Sandy is the one that's getting her own spin-off movie, because at least with Sandy, you do have the potential to actually go beyond Bikini Bottom. You don't have to just stay in the ocean or make up some magical area. Like, you don't have to make like your own Atlantis or anything like that. You know, with Sandy, like, you can actually make some, like, one idea I can have in mind is like actually a legitimate Sandy, or, you know, you can make a legitimate Sandy Cheeks origin story. Like, yeah, it could be like rewrite, you know, like you could be reinventing the wheel again, but you could present the origins of how Sandy went from Texas to going down to Bikini Bottom, and even have a little bit of that connection of like Camp Coral of how Sandy met SpongeBob, but like maybe there might be like some kind of like memory loss that happened during, and all that kind of stuff. There is still that there is like some ideas that you can actually do. Let's see now. I'm thinking this might be a pretty good idea to have Sandy Cheeks have her own movie, but I don't know. If they are going to make this a prequel or actual side story where Sandy might go outside the Bikini Bottom and outside the surface, I would throw out the Patrick Star Show and give this a watch. If Sandy Cheeks was here, she would say, "Yeah! Looks like I'm gonna make it to the spotlight from now on. Wait till SpongeBob sees me in my own movie." Oh, yeah, definitely. Let's see what else we got. Getting Puss in Boots vibes. This is honestly going to be one of those things that might make me get Paramount Plus, and she was one of, if not my favorite character from the show. If this does come out, I will probably check it out in theaters, but I do wonder where this movie will go. Well, it's not going to be theaters. They did state that it will be a streaming service. We just don't know which streamer is going to be. But yeah, honestly, for me, I really did enjoy the Puss in Boots movie. It's not as good as the first two Shrek films, but it did stand out very well on its own. And I think that would be the best case scenario of this Sandy Cheeks movie, is that at best, it could potentially end up something like the Puss in Boots movie, where it's a spin-off film that is a little bit different from the origins, but it could still stand out on its own. And I'll read one more comment before we get into the grand finale. Let's see now. I've always wondered, why doesn't Sandy have her own show? I always wanted to hear about her backstory, but as soon as I got older, the more I understood why there isn't. Hearing about the news that there will be a live-action Sandy Cheeks movie, no. Just no. Okay. Like, in terms of the visuals, honestly, I am not too worried. It's not like they're gonna legitimately go and make something like Alvin and the Chipmunks or the Smurfs or whatever, or where they're gonna really make, it's not like they're gonna make a legitimate, realistic Sandy Cheeks character, especially when you do look at the recent SpongeBob movies. Like, if you look at Sponge Out of Water or Sponge on the Run, at least with that animation, they still remain true to how Sandy is. They still stay true to the design of how they are in the show, and the animation that they provided is actually very well made. And like, regardless of how you feel about those movies, like, that's probably the best thing you could say about them, is that the animation is actually really, really good. So I'm not too worried about how Sandy is going to look when she's in the live action world, because I could trust that they could still keep Sandy to look like Sandy and not make some kind of like squirrel-like monstrosity or anything like that. Okay, folks, it is now time that we shall get into the grand finale of it all. And for what I have here is not going to be not one, but a whole bunch of major announcements. And this coincidentally just happened not long after the announcement of the Warner Media and Discovery merger. Because Warner decided all in one day that they would go and announce a whole bunch of all new shows that are going to be coming out both on HBO Max and on Adult Swim. And what we have here is a major list, and it will, of course, be featuring many beloved icons, and some surprises that have been very much talked about on the internet as well. And the first one that I will be talking about is actually regarding Superman. Yes, Superman is coming back with an all-new animated series, which will be called My Adventures with Superman, which will be starring Jack Quaid from The Boys, who will be playing Clark Kent, and Alice Lee from Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, playing as Lois Lane. And it even states here, like to read from my source on Variety, it states that the show will follow the Man of Steel and the Dodge Daily Planet reporter in their 20s, as well as their best friend, Jimmy Olsen, as they begin to discover who they are and everything they can accomplish together in an investigative news team. The serialized coming-of-age story sees Superman build up his secret identity and embraces his role as the hero of Metropolis, as well, and perhaps the world, while Lois, now a star journalist, takes aspiring photographer Jimmy under her wing. All the while, Clark and Lois are falling in love, sharing adventures, and taking down bad guys. We even have a quote here coming from the president of Warner Brothers Animation and Cartoon Network Studios, Sam Register, in which he states, "It's been a great partnership working with Cartoon Network and HBO Max to bring more DC superheroes to the platform in new and creative and interesting ways. And creatively interesting ways, sorry about that. This is the first animated Superman series in many years, and we want to tell our Superman stories through the trio of Clark, Lois, and Jimmy, whose relationship dynamic will allow rich, serialized, and engaging stories as we explore their lives as individuals and their journeys together as friends." So that's just the Superman story that we are seeing right here. But hold on, there is also another major DC superhero that's going to have his own animated series. And it's not necessarily what the series will be about, but rather who's going to be working on it. And this one is known as Batman Caped Crusader, in which it promised that it will bring Batman to all. It will reinvent Batman in a brand new and exciting way. In which Sam also stated for this show, saying here that Batman, or no wait, actually before I get into that quote, let me go and read you the synopsis of what they are saying that this show is all about. It says here, reading from my source this time on The Hollywood Reporter, the series will be thrilling, cinematic, and evocative of Batman's noir roots, while diving deeper into the psychology of the iconic character. We cannot wait to share this new world. But again, it's not necessarily what the show is about, but rather it's who is attached to it. And we got an all-star crew working on this. Not only do we have one of the legendary DC animation veterans, Bruce Timm, working on it, but as well, we also have J.J. Abrams and even Matt Reeves, in which in the latter you may know as the guy who will be directing the upcoming live action, the upcoming Batman movie known as The Batman, which will star Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne. Now, I will go and read the Sam Register quote for this one, in which it states here, Batman, the animated series, was a masterpiece that shaped the perception of the character for an entire generation of fans. It is in that spirit that we are bringing together three master storytellers in JJ, Matt, and Bruce, each with their own intuitive understanding and affection for the character, to create a new series that will continue in the same groundbreaking legacy. So, that is pretty much the big idea of what they want to do with Batman Caped Crusader, is the fact that they want to reinvent Batman, do a reimagining of Batman in an innovative way in which not only will they innovate the story of Batman, but also the animation of Batman. And so far from what we see here with this artwork for this potential poster, it looks pretty epic. I mean, we haven't seen anything yet, but it does hold a lot of promise. But those are only the DC shows that are coming to HBO Max and on Cartoon Network. There is also another major announcement coming from Adult Swim, where we have some new shows and some new shorts coming out as well. And in terms of those shorts, we might as well start that off for Adult Swim, because we got a whole bunch of massive appetizers, where we are going to be looking into several spin-off shorts from many of Adult Swim's popular shows, ranging from Aqua Teen Hunger Force, Rick and Morty, Robot Chicken, and many, many more. And reading from my source here, from Animation Magazine, let's go into one by one of what these shows are. First up, what we have here is the Rick and Morty spin-off called The Vindicators, in which it states, Answer the Vindibeacon and join your old pals Supernova, Vance Maximus, Alan Rails, Crocubot, and Noob Noob as they fight crime, avert genocide, and yuck it up without Rick and Morty. We also got a quote here coming from two of the executive producers, Erica Rosb and Sarah Carbiner? Yeah, Sarah Carbiner, in which they state, we are thrilled to work with the Rick and Morty universe again, and these shorts are an incredible opportunity to explore what happens in the aftermath of the Vindicators saving or destroying worlds. They also said, we are excited to show how this team of superheroes is plenty dysfunctional, whether Rick's around to have half of them murdered or not. So that's the first set of shorts that we do have. It's going to be with the Vindicators. Next up that we have is the Robot Chicken spinoff, which, believe it or not, is actually inspired by a little skit that happened not in the show, but rather during a panel during San Diego Comic-Con, during their Robot Chicken panel, which is called Alabama Jackson. And it says here, Donald Faison is Alabama Jackson, a smooth-talking time traveler who lands in exactly the wrong place at the wrong time every time. If he can survive the past long enough and get back to the present, he might just find something he wasn't looking for, himself. Alabama Jackson is a hilarious action-packed stop-motion animated series created by Faison and produced by Stupid Buddy Studios. We also got a quote coming from Donald Faison himself. Did I say Daniel or Donald before? Donald Faison, anyways, he stated, "It's been my dream to create something with stop-motion animation ever since Seth Green showed me clips of this crazy sketch show he was working on, where the stars were the toys I grew up playing with. Where the stars were the toys that I grew up playing with. For it to come full circle for my show to be made with the same team of artists only makes me more excited to explore the stories of Alabama Jackson." Next up, what we have is going to be the Aqua Teen Hunger Force spinoff, in which it's going to be called Aquadonk Side Pieces, in which it states here, the long-awaited continuation of the beloved Adult Swim animated series Aqua Teen Hunger Force, where fans will be bestowed with the gift of learning what happened with the later lives of various side characters and villains such as the Mooninites, the Plutonians, MCP Pants, the Frat Aliens, Happy Time Harry, Hand Banana, and the Cybernetic Ghosts of Christmas Past. Aquadonk Side Pieces was created by original series creators Matt Mailaro and Dave Willis. The new series will premiere later this year. And finally, the last one that we have is actually turning a popular series into an animated franchise, which is going to be called Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell, the animated series. Hell is eternal, and so is the beloved Emmy-nominated cult show Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell, as it returns for a 5th season, this time in animated internet shorts. Cruel Boss Satan, Bumbling Demon Gary, and all your other favorites return in America's favorite workplace comedy set in hell. Expect more laughs, more gore, and maybe a talking animal. Yeah, it seems like it's a cartoon they should add like a, it seems like it's a cartoon where they should add a talking animal. Animal? I don't know why I couldn't talk. Maybe a fish? And we also got a quote here coming from the show creators, Casper Kelly and Dave Willis, to which they state, we are thrilled to expand the Pretty Face universe into animation, especially since it will be animators sweating over their Cintiqs rather than us sweating in a humid Georgia August swamp battling mosquitoes while covered in red makeup. We just hope the bosses will let us release the 10-hour Snyder cut of Your Face is Going to Hell, the animated series. But those are just going to be a bunch of animated shorts. Those are just going to be little mini-series of just 8-minute cartoons that are about like 8 to 10 episodes each. What about the shows, though? What about the big series that are going to be coming to Adult Swim? Well, actually, they managed to turn 2 beloved web series into fully fledged Adult Swim animated shows. And the first one that we have here is going to be called Royal Crackers, to which it states here that Royal Crackers is a half-hour animated series that follows 2 brothers, Steb, a family man with a wife and child, and Theo Jr., a single-bass guitar player, a single-bassed guitar player trying to relive his glory days. Together they live in their comatose father's house waiting for him to die, he never does, so they can inherit his cracker company empire. Royal Crackers is created by, created by Jason Ruiz, who also serves as the executive producer along with Seth Cohen. The series is produced by Titmouse and will be premiering on Adult Swim in 2022. But the biggest and the most talked about show that has been announced, even more so than either Superman or Batman or any of the Adult Swim spin-offs, is going to be none other than Smiling Friends. At long last, people, Smiling Friends is gonna finally be turned into an animated TV show on Adult Swim. To which it's stated right here, In Smiling Friends Inc. is there to lend a helping hand to any city inhabitant who calls their hotline with their troubling situation. No matter how absurd, the folks at Smiling Friends will send its representatives, the cynical Charlie and the star employee Pim, to save the day. Smiling Friends is a quarter-hour animated series created, written, and produced by Michael Cusack and Zach Hadel, and will premiere on Adult Swim later this year. And that is all the big announcements that they have done. Now, I have already put out my statement on Batman Caped Crusader, so I'll just quickly go through, get this one out of the way. That, honestly, it really does sound exciting. The fact that we got some major people involved. I am a major fan of Matt Reeves' work, especially with his Planet of the Apes movies. And also bringing on board people like J.J. Abrams and Bruce Timm coming back to work on this show. Like, even though we don't have a lot of info, they do have a lot of promise into it. So, I can't really say anything on it, but I'll definitely keep my eye out on that. As for the Superman series over here, now, the first comment that I would like to go and state that I don't know about you guys, but I feel like this new version of Lois Lane, she feels like a grown-up version of Luz from the Owl House. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just the hair or something like that, but it's like if you take Luz and you make her a grown-up, and that's basically what you get. Where, like, after all the scenarios in the Owl House, she decided to go and work for the Daily Planet and just become a journalist and fall in love with the guy whom, surprisingly enough, turns out to be frickin' Superman. But I will say, so far, like, the style of the show, I mean, it does share a very similar resemblance to some of the modern animated series that we are getting nowadays. Rather it be like the anime-inspired type series, rather it be like She-Ra or Voltron or even Avatar: The Last Airbender or stuff like that. But, this is not to say it's a bad thing. It does hold a lot of promise, and I feel like it's really nice that we are going into this again, going into Superman again and seeing another Superman series happen once more, because yes, Superman has been a bit in a downcline, has been in a bit of a decline in popularity, especially after, the way they wanted to reboot him to be a little more, dark and serious and edgy and gritty and stuff like that, especially with Man of Steel or Dawn of Justice and the Justice League movies and stuff like that. But then suddenly, things seem to get a little bit better. Apparently, I heard that there was a new series that did come out, Superman and Lois, and apparently that seems to be a fresh take on the relationship between Lois and Clark Kent, and it turned out to be a great show and really beloved. And a lot of people are even saying that it's one of the best adaptations of Superman in recent years. And seeing this one again, seeing like this new, like not as mature as Superman and Lois, but this fun looking take on Superman and Lois. I feel like it looks like it's a lot of fun and like really focusing a lot on the journalistic aspect, like with the relationship between Clark and Lois. Like it looks like it's gonna be fun. Like I feel like there's a lot of a lot of positive potential on this one. So this looks like it could be interesting to check out. But then you also got the Adult Swim shows. The Adult Swim spin-off shorts. And honestly, I didn't fully, it wasn't until just recently when rehearsing for this, I noticed that, they're not full-on series, they're just animated shorts. But still, though, they look like nice little tidbits, nice little extras for the fans to have. I guess it's no surprise they would go and do one for Rick and Morty, especially, I guess, considering nowadays with the massive popularity of Rick and Morty, that they would go and do something like this where they would have some kind of spin-off eventually. I wouldn't even be surprised in the future where we would have like a full-on legitimate spin-off series, like if the Vindicators would actually have their own legitimate show. And not only that, but you would also have, Aquadonk side pieces, which I think that one, amongst all of them, other than the Vindicators, I could see that being a massive hit, especially when it is a major comeback of Aqua Teen Hunger Force and bringing back beloved characters that are not either Master Shake or Frylock or Meatwad, like bringing in like the Moonanites or Hand Banana or even especially the Cybernetic Ghost of Christmas Past. That dude often, like, he just really has that one joke, but man, do they really use that one joke well. And like, even looking back at it, it's like, it's hard not to laugh at the way like he becomes like so over dramatic about everything. So yeah, can't really comment much about like some of the others, like Alabama Jackson. I'm not really that familiar, or like not too familiar with Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell. But then you would have the announcement of the full-on legitimate Adult Swim shows. I'm not really familiar with Royal Crackers. It's the first time I've heard about this, so like I'll kind of have to wait and see. But then there is Smiling Friends. Now this, among all these shows I talked about, this is the most talked about. This is the most hyped up in terms of what would be to come in terms of Adult Swim. Especially when the pilot that was released apparently 2 years ago, it was a massive phenomenon. Like, it got seriously popular and really big, down to the point that I would say that in terms of these animated pilots that aired on the internet, Smiling Friends would only be comparable to Has-Been Hotel. Like, it really was that big, and I remember seeing it myself, and it feels very much on brand to the stupid type of humor you would expect from Adult Swim, but man, it really is hilarious. And I remember, believe it or not, I once actually had a chat with Michael Cusack. If you go on my YouTube channel, you'll actually find that I actually did do an interview with Michael Cusack, and we discussed about his animated series that he had on Adult Swim, which is YOLO Crystal Fantasy. And from there, we also talked about how he started out as a YouTube animator, and he would grow to become like a prominent Adult Swim veteran, where he did a lot of work for them. Like, he did this Australian special for Adult Swim. Like, he did an Adult Swim. No, not an Adult Swim. He did an Australian Rick and Morty special for Adult Swim. Then he has his own series with YOLO Crystal Fantasy. He has another one that's going to be coming soon with Koala Man. And then, of course, you also got Zach Huddell, which you may know on the internet as Psychic Pebbles, and he already has a prominent platform online with a prominent YouTube channel that has over 1 million subscribers, or maybe even more. He's also a prominent member of the Oni Plays Let's Play channel, and when you do watch his when you do watch his videos, you'll find that the kind of humor that is displayed in Smiling Friends is very similar to the kind of humor that you would find in those Psychic Pebbles cartoons, where it's like they use the awkwardness as a form of comedy, and like just the weird nature of it all, where it's like it's so awkward, it's so bizarre that you can't help but laugh at the scenarios. And honestly, for me, I just feel like it's about freaking time that they finally got a Smiling Friends series happening, and again, I really enjoyed that pilot that they did put out, and I just want to go and give out a huge congratulations, not just to Michael Cusack and Zach Huddell, but also to Jason Ruiz as well, to finally have their shows become a reality on Adult Swim. And we'll see how things go with all these other shows, like with My Adventures with Superman, with Batman Cape Crusader, with all the Adult Swim animated shorts, and with Smiling Friends and Royal Crackers. But they all have a lot of promise, so we'll wait and see how things go. But definitely when it comes to DC's animated series and when it comes to Adult Swim's future, things are pretty much looking positive, if you ask me. All right, so with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I want to ask you all, how do you feel about all these different shows? Which ones are you the most anticipated for? Which ones do you seem to have the most doubt about? Let me know what you all think about this. Let's see now. Let's see. I'm not gonna lie, when you brought up a Batman in your tweet, I just assumed that you were gonna talk about something else. But no matter, this is all very interesting news. I think I'm most excited for the Batman series, since the crew involved is insanely talented, especially Abrams. I'll gladly keep an eye on what these shows are about. But is it just me, or does Noob Noob sound like something does it sound like the effects of that from that show Pingu? No. No, Noob Noob is something else. You're thinking of Newt Newt. It's with a T, not with a B. Anyways, let's see what we got here. I was wanted to see a brand new Superman animated series. Nothing against Batman, but I think we have too many Batman content there is. And since Superman is in a Voltron art style, shut up and take my money. Also, good thing about this news is that there hasn't been one dumb guy on Twitter complaining about Jimmy Olsen being black or whatever. Don't you miss the days when this didn't happen on Twitter? Do you remember the days before Twitter or before social media? It was a simpler time, but it was also a very calm and pleasant time. Let's see now. Let's see. Let's see. My thoughts on these shows. Batman Cape Crusader, maybe? My Adventures with Superman, Also, it's pronounced, lose. Oh, sorry about that. My apologies to the Owl House fans. The Vindicators looks promising. Aquadonk side pieces. I never watched the show, but this does look good. Alabama Jackson. I love Robot Chicken, so yeah. Your Pretty Face is going to hell. The animated series, but I'm not looking forward to this. Royal Crackers. Yeet this show. And Smiling Friends. Now, this is a show I really want to watch. Alright, that's nice. Let's see. I don't really have much to say about the other shows since I don't watch Adult Swim, but as for Batman, as soon as they said that they are going to, that this is going to be a reinvention of the character, all I have to say was, never heard that one before. And as for Superman, it could have potential, but I'm not really a fan of the art style, as it looks too much like the Invincible, looks too much like Invincible, and Lois does look like Luz from the Owl House. But I will say, I am optimistic about Superman and the Batman shows. Alright, that's nice. Let's see what we have here. Knowing that Bruce Timm, who is one of my inspirations to drawing characters, is involved in the new Batman cartoon, I'm pumped to see that since I love the DCAU. Not sure about the new Superman. Does every action show nowadays have to try to look like Avatar: The Last Airbender? Anyways, I'm curious to Alabama Jackson, Pretty Face, and Smiling Friends. The rest, I'm not sure. Fun fact, they got Tom Fulp, the founder of the Newgrounds, involved with Smiling Friends as the voice of the character name Alpha. Oh yeah, that guy. Oh my god. Like, that's probably one of the most hilariously awkward things from that pilot. Is just that big boss that, like, he's giving the main characters a job while he's breastfeeding this weird creature. It's just like, oh my god, that was like uncomfortably weird, but also funny, man. Oh my god. Anyways, all these shows from Warner Brothers Animation, DC, Adult Swim, and Cartoon Network are really bringing me hype. Are bringing my hype levels all the way up to 11. So far I am in love with Primal and Rick and Morty so much. I just hope many of these shows, including Smiling Friends, will end up successful. All right. Let's see what else. I'll read two more. Let's see. Wow, with so many shows that I am really excited for, I don't know where to really start. The new Batman show sounds like it has a lot of incredible potential. My Adventures with Superman sounds like fun, and as you said, Lois does look a lot like adult Luz. The Adult Swim shorts and shows sound great, as well as I am happy to see Smiling Friends to finally get the spotlight. And finally, let's see one more comment. Did I? No, I didn't. Let's see. Trying to see one if I didn't. Okay, I'll go with this one. The design of the three characters in this Superman image just makes me think DreamWorks and Netflix's She-Ra, and that is saying something about that design for those characters. Look closely at the third person in the background of the Superman version of the Superman image. Does he not look like something like Bo from that She-Ra series? I mean, honestly, I can't really tell, but I haven't seen the She-Ra series myself, but I mean, it's up to you. She-Ra fans, do you think Jimmy looks like Bo? Let me know what you think. But with that said, that should do it for today's episode of Animat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, and what a fun episode this has been. We went into a lot of business, we went into a lot of cartoons, but we kept it all crazy. But with all that said and done, tune in next week for a lot more fun-filled moments and a lot more news to talk about here. So with that said, I would like to say thank you all so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, see you later, dudes.